These photos were so hot and these stories were so hot. The higher ups in this agency that we were working with would just say, come back with any picture and we'll pay you $5,000. At one point, the front page of the internet was yahoo.com. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was the front page of the internet. Whatever that was going on at that time in the world, if you pulled up yahoo.com, that was it. The first picture. I can proudly say that I've had 2 front page stories on yahoo.com around that era, pre-social media, one of them being Michael Jackson before he passed away. At the time, I was pushing so hard to become a full-time car photographer. All I wanted to do was travel the world, go to races, feature cars, do everything I can possibly do to be around cars and car culture. Unfortunately, around that time, I just didn't have the funding to do so. At Formula Drift, I think in 2007, I met another photographer out there that was shooting cars, but on the side, he was a paparazzi. He told me that this was a chance potentially to make some money while shooting with hours that were pretty flexible. And then I could pursue car photography as well. I started going out with him in Hollywood. At first, it was absolutely insane. It was so much. It was like just so much to learn. I could care less about celebrities, to be honest with you. I just saw them more as a story to follow, a target, to be honest with you. We just went out there to tell stories, to take pictures of these individuals, especially because at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, it was just that crazy period where we had Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, and Lindsay Lohan. It was like the crazy trio. And the stories were just so hot. You could go out there. I remember many nights I would be shooting and I would see one celebrity walk into this restaurant. I would start firing and another celebrity would literally walk into frame and just block the shot, but turn into another story. So we would like start shooting and then we would have to turn the camera to follow this other person that just got in the way. It was really hard work. It was absolutely crazy in that the hours were insane. We would usually start work around when they were having dinner and we would end when the clubs would let out in Hollywood, which was 2 a.m. And then sometimes if the story would keep going, we would shoot to 3, 4, 5 a.m. And sometimes I remember the sun would be coming up and they would just be spilling out of whatever house party or whatever. When I had my off times, I would take a flight to Japan, go shoot drifting or racing or whatever. I would always try to travel to Formula Drift. I would shoot the Long Beach Grand Prix, whatever endurance races, 24-hour races. As soon as I got back, I would pick up my camera and shoot celebrities. We had a very, very professional team. It was me and 3 other individuals. We took it very, very seriously. There was no joking around. There was no yelling at celebrities, causing trouble. I would say every single time when I was within earshot of this person that I was shooting, I would ask for permission. I would say 90% of the time they would say yes, and there would be some kind of interaction. If they were out of earshot, generally speaking, it was because we were among a lot of other shooters and we would be using long lenses and we would just kind of fire away. They were in the public eye. They knew what they were doing. Especially in Hollywood, they knew they needed this press because this was pre-social media. And for them to stay on people's minds and be in the magazines and be on those newsstands, they had to be out and about. The TMZ is known as the 30-mile zone, right? That's the zone where in Hollywood it's considered like a home shoot, where you don't need to get hotel rooms or you don't need to make this a bigger production, like a away shoot. So it also happened to be the most concentration of celebrities in the world. I remember there was one period of time, especially when Britney Spears was shaving her head and all that craziness was going on. These photos were so hot and these stories were so hot. The higher ups in this agency that we were working with would just say, come back with any picture and we'll pay you $5,000. Like, it was that crazy. But I've seen in the internal reports from these agencies, they would send them out and they would say, hey, this was the top seller of the month, and it would get to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for this one picture, because it would sell thousands and thousands and thousands of times to every single publication all over the world. There was a couple ways to earn money out there, and it was so crazy to me because I would look around and the person in charge on our team was the one who got that really iconic shot of the trio, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Paris Hilton in the SLR. It's hard to say how much that shot was worth. Like I said, it's more about consistently telling good stories and having really good photos. To be honest, I think my most expensive photo probably went for $2,500. But you have to remember, we're making pictures every single night, and a lot of them. Every single night I would catalog my celebrity photos, and when it was a busy night, especially in Hollywood, sometimes I would see 20, 30 celebrities in one night. Around that time, I was chasing these celebrities in my Nissan S13 240SX 1991 5-speed white hatchback. Love that car so much. While every other paparazzi, they were driving Range Rovers, they were driving G-Wagons, they were driving really nice vehicles. I'm buzzing along, hitting red line pretty much every single red light in this S13 hatchback. It was so interesting, and I have this picture of the car at that very famous Beverly Hills gas station, the one that has that crazy roof, where I just left the car running, door open. We were following Paris Hilton in her blue Bentley, and so many paparazzi were just following that same story, and we all just kind of left our cars in the middle of the gas station. She got out to get gas, and everybody's just jumped out and started shooting. It was absolutely insane. At the time, if you guys remember, Ed Hardy was huge. So Ed Hardy was the brainchild of this individual, Christian Audiger, and he had his 50th birthday party at the Peterson Museum. It was the entire roof of the Peterson that he rented out, and it was just this crazy fanfare. He invited pretty much every big Hollywood celebrity, and I think most of them came. The surprise guest of the night was Michael Jackson, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. We were shooting a bunch of stuff for Christian. We were shooting a lot of his clothing launches. We were shooting a lot of his house parties. It was just such a great symbiotic relationship. We would be able to use our photos to sell, and the celebrities wanted to be seen with the hottest clothing brand at the time. He showed up. I remember specifically, as soon as Michael Jackson came out, first thing he said was, I may be the king of pop, but Christian is the king of fashion. And it was just this crazy moment. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, because as soon as that was happening, I remember security from the Michael Jackson side as well as the Christian side, they just locked everything down and nobody could move, because they knew that some craziness was going to happen and there's going to be like this big rush. I don't think he was seen in public for a long time up until that point because there was so much stuff going on in the news. And I just happened to be there, and I just started firing as much as I could. And those images ended up on the front page of Yahoo basically just the next morning. I didn't want to be a paparazzi at all. I absolutely hated it. It was just a way for me to pay for my car photography, because before I was noticed and before I made a name for myself, nobody was paying me to take pictures of these cars and follow these races. I had to pay my own way, and I had to prove my worth. So I was doing everything I could to make money, and all of that money went to my car photography just to get my work in front of more people's eyes. And sometimes the worlds would collide. One of the times was, for example, when they had the celebrity race at the Long Beach Grand Prix. So I was there to shoot the cars and the racing and the car culture part of it, but I was also there to shoot the celebrities. There was one year when I remember Brian Austin Green was one of the celebrity racers, and there were rumors that he was dating Megan Fox. So I had an inkling that this was a story that we could tell, that maybe she would show up and I would be able to get photos of him and Megan Fox together. I knew I didn't have an exclusive, but I figured there wouldn't be that many other paparazzi there, but I was completely wrong. It was one of those crazy moments where the celebrities were there, they were hanging out in their race suits, and it was before one of the races, and I was sitting at a table, and it seemed pretty calm, but as soon as Megan Fox showed up, it was this scene out of a Hollywood movie where, if you can imagine, it's like all these tables basically get flipped up, and all of these surprise photographers, like people that were pretending just to be normal people, they were just hanging out. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Megan Fox showed up, they just started pulling out huge cameras with huge lenses. It was absolutely insane. It was so many photographers. I don't even know where they came out of. They just kind of appeared. I just joined them, and then everybody just started taking pictures of Megan Fox and Brian Austin Green. It was so crazy. It was really hard. I got spit on, I got chased, I got hit, I got into all of these tussles, and it was difficult. But in the back of my mind, all I thought about was, I have to do this, and I have to sacrifice this time to be able to shoot cars. And luckily, it worked out.
As dealership systems become more automated and more people sell their cars privately, it's harder and harder to find exactly the car that you're shopping for. But Auto Tempest is the most powerful way to shop for your next car because they compile the results from all the major listing sites into one place. Autotempest.com, all the cars, one search. They search nationally amongst all the major sites, but also allow you to search throughout the country at the same time for Facebook Marketplace results, Craigslist results, and things like that. So we love Auto Tempest because it's where I start most of my mornings, searching the deep dark corners of the internet to try to find my next bad automotive purchase. But you'll love them because it's the best way and the fastest way to find your next car. So check them out now at the link in the description below to find your next car on Auto Tempest.